He was the first out of all of us to make the first break. Went on to win like 5 tournaments in 1 year, and he got into the top 5, and he really kind of the start of the American crew.
From winning 60 career titles on the ATP Tour to having about 10 Grand Slam victories to his name, Agassi was so good that he managed to achieve what most male tennis players could not. During his prime, he was among the sport's best athletes. Just how good was he? Let's find out. After joining Nick's academy at the age of 13, Andre went pro just 3 years after. He competed in his first tournament at La Quinta, California, and by the end of the year in 1986, he was ranked 91st in the world. Following year would show to be marginally better than the previous one, as Andre jumped 66 places up to 25. At 17, he won his first top-level singles title at the Seoul American Open. That title was the beginning of many. Andre showed no signs of slowing down as he won 6 additional tournaments the following year. The Memphis U.S. Men's Clay Court Championships, Forest Hills WCT, Stuttgart Outdoor, Volvo International, and Livingston Open. He also made so much money that by the end of 1988, he had surpassed $1 million in career prize money after playing in just 43 tournaments. Amongst his many accomplishments in 1988, teenage Andre set an Open-era record for most consecutive victories by a male teenager. That record stood for 17 years before it was broken by Nadal in 2005. Andre jumped 22 places from the previous year to close out the year as the third-ranked player in the world behind second place Yvonne Lendl and top-ranked Mats Wilander. He was becoming a big force to reckon with. His results were so impressive that he was voted the most improved player of the year for 1988 by Tennis Magazine and the Association of Tennis Professionals. For the next 2 years, he decided not to play at Wimbledon and publicly stated that he did not wish to play there because of the event's traditionalism, particularly its predominantly white dress code to which players at the event were required to conform. But Andre didn't mind, as he was still making strides in other tournaments. He got to the semifinals of both the French Open and the US Open in 1988 and followed up with another semifinals appearance at the US Open the following year. Andre entered the 1990s with a series of near misses. Building on his semifinal appearances from the previous year, he made it to his first Grand Slam final as the clear favorite, the 1990 French Open. Surprisingly, Agassi lost in 4 sets to Andres Gomez. Something did not add up. Andre would eventually confess years later that he intentionally threw the match because he was worried about his wig falling off. At the time, his iconic locks were more important than lifting his first ever Grand Slam. If you've seen our other videos, you'd understand the story behind his wig. If you haven't, then you could check out that after this video. Soon enough, he was back again, making his second Grand Slam final of the year at the US Open by defeating the defending champion Boris Becker in the semifinals. And you can bet Andre had every intention of winning this final this time around. His opponent this time was Pete Sampras. Now, you've probably heard about the Agassi versus Sampras rivalry, one of the biggest rivalries ever in the tennis history. A year before their US Open showdown, Agassi destroyed Pete Sampras after he revealed to his coach that he felt sorry for Pete because he was never going to make it as a professional tennis player. Pete, though, ultimately proved Andre wrong by defeating him and winning the 1990 US Open Championship in 3 sets. Even today, you have to wonder how good Andre was getting to make back-to-back Grand Slam finals and semifinals so soon after turning pro. Despite the losses at the French Open and US Open final, he still finished 1990 on a high note by defeating defending Wimbledon champion Stefan Edberg in the final of the Tennis Masters Cup and helping the United States win its first Davis Cup in 8 years. In 1991, Andre made it to another Grand Slam final, this time his second consecutive French Open final. He was up against Jim Courier, but Andre lost out on yet another chance to win his first Grand Slam. He finally decided to play at Wimbledon in the same year, but only made it to the quarterfinals before losing in 5 sets to David Wheaton. Andre would eventually win his first Grand Slam tournament in 1992 at a competition he had initially vowed never to enter. He would finally have his breakthrough. Not at the US Open or French Open where he had made it to the later stages, but at Wimbledon. In a 5-set final, he triumphed over Goran Ivanisevic. On his way to the final, Andre defeated John McEnroe and Boris Becker, who were both former Wimbledon champions. Some could argue that he was fast becoming one of the best players around, and by the end of the year, he was recognized as the BBC Overseas Sports Personality of the Year. Gradually, he was becoming the best. Andre participated once more on the United States Davis Cup winning squad. He helped to win their second Davis Cup title in 3 years. Wasn't so fantastic the year after. Andre suffered from several injuries, and he also had surgery which caused him to be sidelined for a long time. However, the standard remained. Andre recovered, and in no time he was in his prime. You could certainly tell by his results. Andre was making a name for himself again during the hardcourt season by winning the Canadian Open. Then he went on to win the 1994 US Open by beating Michael Stich in the final. This made Andre become the first man to win the US Open as an unseeded player. By April 1995, Andre Agassi was ranked the world number 1. Finally, he made his way to the top after several consistent years. 1995 would also turn out to be his best year in terms of win-loss records. He had 73 victories and 9 defeats. He played a significant role again in the third and final Davis Cup victory of his career for the United States. 1996 turned out to be not so much of a successful year for Andre. The highlight for him was defeating Spaniard Sergi Bruguera in the Olympic men's singles gold medal match in Atlanta. In Cincinnati and Key Biscayne, he also successfully defended his singles titles. Andre completely fell off the year after as a result of so many issues in his personal life. He was struggling with some recurring injuries, his marriage was falling apart, and he was almost hooked on drugs. Many people thought that his days as one of the best athletes in the field were behind him, and that he would never again win any noteworthy championships. But if there was anybody that could find his way back, it's certainly Andre Agassi, because the ability has always been there. He started a strict conditioning program in 1998, and by competing in Challenger Series tournaments, a circuit for professional athletes outside the top 50 in the world, he worked his way back up the rankings. Andre went on to experience the most successful phase of his tennis career after getting back in excellent physical and mental shape. He was almost unstoppable that he won 5 titles and jumped from 110th ranked player in the world to 6th in 1998, the greatest ascent into the top 10 by any player over a year. In 10 finals, he won 5 titles, and at the year's end, he was awarded the ATP's Most Improved Player of the Year. Remember, he won this award 10 years earlier in 1988. It was evident he was indeed back in his prime when he won the award a second time. The next year, in 1999, he made history by defeating Andrei Medvedev in a 5-set French Open final after falling behind 2 sets to love. At the time, he was only the 5th male player to have won all 4 Grand Slam singles championships in his career. This win also made Andre the first of only 4 male players in history to have won all 4 Grand Slam titles on 3 different surfaces, that is, clay, grass, and hard courts. A truly remarkable feat indeed. Only the big 3 have been able to replicate such an amazing achievement. Without mentioning their names, you should know who the big 3 are. That's Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer. Agassi also became the first male player to complete the career Super Slam, which entails winning the singles Olympic gold medal, all 4 Grand Slam tournaments, and the year-end title. While he was still making waves with his win at the French Open, he followed his victory by reaching the Wimbledon final. He met his arch-rival Pete again, but he fell short this time. By this time, you could call Andre the king of comebacks. He bounced back from his Wimbledon defeat by winning the US Open, defeating Todd Martin in 5 sets. Andre ended 1999 with 5 titles, including 2 majors and the ATP Masters Series in Paris, where he defeated Marat Safin. 1999 was once again his year as he finished the year ranked the number 1 player in the world. Andre would have been so delighted with ending the year ranked number 1 as he also ended Pete Sampras' record of 6 consecutive year-ending top rankings from 1993 to 1998. Although Andre might have been enjoying the best season of his career, he was reminded that his old foe Pete would always be there to challenge in the major competitions. He lost to Pete in the year-ending Tennis Masters Cup. The rivals met the following year again. This time Andre came out on top by winning his second Australian Open title, beating Pete in a 5-set semifinal. As a result, he became the first male player to have reached 4 consecutive Grand Slam finals since Rod Laver achieved the Grand Slam in 1969. Andre was also the 4th player since Laver at the time to hold the titles of 3 of the 4 Grand Slam competitions, with Wimbledon being the lone exception. 2000, Andre reached the semifinals at Wimbledon, but he lost this time in 5 sets to Pat Rafter in a match widely regarded as one of the best Wimbledon matches ever. Back to his best and still in his prime, Andre started 2001 by successfully defending his Australian Open title with a straight sets final win over Arnold Clement. On the way, he defeated Rafter in 5 sets in front of a sold-out audience at what ended up being the Australian's final Australian Open. As good as Andre might have been, some rivals always got the upper hand over him sometimes, and Rafter and Pete Sampras were prime examples. He met Rafter again in the semifinals at Wimbledon, and this time he lost another close match to Rafter. Andre then ended the 2001 ranked 3rd, making history again, becoming the only male tennis player to end a year ranked among the top 3 in 3 decades. Now you've seen how good Andre Agassi was during his prime, even more how he was able to come back from his dips. What year do you think Agassi was at his best ever? Comment below.